Wario Land 2. Wario! Remember that guy? Wrote the Chud Handbook, put out a bunch of solid games, and disappeared into minigame collections. Basically almost went the way of Rayman in the late 2000s, but was saved by Smash, Smooth Moves, and Mario Party, and sharding and driving. So much of his early catalog is totally inaccessible, with his first game just now coming out to NSO like a week ago as I'm recording this. I played Wario Land Shake It when I was a kid, not knowing the pantheon of 2D platformers Wario inhabited in the late 90s and early 2000s. Wario Land 4 is a huge cult classic that is arguably the most popular Wario game. I had a curiosity for Wario Land 4 for years because this basically all started 15 years ago when I first got access to YouTube and discovered the Creepy Bad Video Game Endings channel. It's a notable channel to me because it's where I first discovered Clock Tower, one of my favorite horror games and some of the finest atmosphere ever crafted, but I digress. The second game I discovered via that channel was Wario Land 4. I played Wario Land 4 for the first time recently because I found something. And by that I mean a perfectly legally obtained copy of Wario Land 4 with my beautiful Target Game Boy Advance. To get away from some eye-rolling jokes, it's a great game that my own bias to Shake It might have skewed just a bit, but I decided to go on a binge of the other Wario Land games because why not? It's one of the only Nintendo series that I hadn't really touched. I played the first game, then booted up Wario Land 2. Long story short, I played it, didn't love it, took a break from Wario, and played Land 3. Wario Land 2 is a simple game, right? It's on Game Boy Color. That's why I had a lot to say about it and changed my review on Backlogged over and over and over again, right? As I started this channel, I wanted to primarily focus on Sonic and FNAF, but I can't get this game out of my head. A Game Boy game with over 7 hours of unique, dedicated platforming content. In 1998 it must have been like crack, and now I'm in awe of it, as much as I try to say that I don't care. Discovering Mr. Emmanuel Station, who I bought the copy from, had me play a lot of games that were just basically white noise in my quest to uncover everything I missed from my childhood. So I'd gotten used to the overused critique and could have easily dismissed Wario Land 2 as white noise, but I just can't. I can't get this game out of my head because critiquing it is challenging my ideas on what makes video games good.
But first...
Hey guys, I'm John Nasty, and I want to thank today's sponsor, my novel, Countercult. What if someone started a religion where everyone was right? Different thoughts and beliefs exist in everyone, yet so many people try to cater to something that doesn't fit. Jury sees this gap and wants to help people bridge it with his own theology, a god with no clear rules that anyone can shape in their own image. His ambiguous intentions quickly give way to a bigger question. If a religion could be anything, does it have any meaning? A greedy journalist manipulates this crack in Jury's logic, eager to turn this fragile vision into a payday. Their growing feud masks a mysterious force stacking cards in the shadows. What started as a spiritual experiment spirals into a crisis of identity, power, and purpose. Countercult is a thrilling drama with elements of magical realism and LGBTQ themes. It is a story of faith, identity, and the dangerous spaces between what we believe and what we fear.
To start, this is the beginning of the Land games, if you ask me. Wario Land 1 was still Super Mario Land 3 and was definitely a backdoor pilot that still felt like a Mario game, just with more exploration and a longer runtime. It's a solid game with some problems that has aged remarkably well. Revoke my gamer card if you want, because I didn't know Pirate Pauline over here from Wario Land Shake It was the villain of the first two Game Boy games. Wario Land 1 shows why Wario's got that one-of-a-kind aura, but there are many aspects here where you can see the designers figuring it out as they go along. This is Super Mario Land first, Wario Land second. So structurally, they treat Wario as if he's a big Mario. If Mario was bigger, I'm sure he could fight, he could charge things and break walls and blocks. But he's still gotta be kinda like Mario, so he's gonna have power-up hats. He's gonna have the emphasis be on collecting coins, like the worst 2D Mario. Part of my initial difficulty with Wario Land 2 is that it reasserts its identity when I felt it really didn't have to. Gone is the dying, gone is the taking damage or power-up hats. Wario is a greedy glutton for punishment, so that translates to a game where you just throw him around and have him interact with this enemy and that enemy and see what happens. I'd gotten so used to the 2D Marios in Land 4 and Shake It that I expected a 2D platformer in the same vein, but this and Wario Land 3 are actually puzzle platformers, more with an emphasis on puzzles and going slow. It reinterprets my earlier thought of Wario being treated as a big Mario. A big Mario couldn't be as fast. A big Mario would have to have more tools in his bag, because getting around would be a difficulty. I'd classify Wario Land 1 as a game you can definitely speed through, while Wario Land 2 isn't so easy. It ups the challenge, but more so ups the need for you to be patient. You see the sheer size of this thing laid out in front of you from the beginning, and it's intimidating. Don't rush this boss fight because one hit and you'll be sent back to the next room and have to do it all over again. Don't take uncalculated risks or else you'll lose the minigame and have to play the level all over again. It's easy to interpret those as inconveniences. It's annoying to have to redo content, and it's annoying to be slow. If I had to give Wario Land 2 one thing, the scope was definitely there. Unlike Land 3 where it was addicting, the sheer size of Land 2 was mostly intimidating, and it's a slow march forward that feels eternal. I'm the first person to call out my own skill issue, and I'm the first person to say that I'm impatient. I'm used to the snappiness of Land 4 and Shake It, and also some of the other games from this time, like Mario vs. Donkey Kong. What's interesting about Wario Land 2 is that it has different expectations while wearing the same skin. My main idea here is that I had the wrong expectations going into this game, but I do think there are several missteps. The exploration in these levels is just not as rewarding as it was in Land 1. The secret exits, in my opinion, are impossible without a guide, and there are no puzzles or major exploration brain teasers needed to get these treasures. It's just a matter of finding the right door and sitting through this boring as hell minigame that you have to play 50 times for 100%. It's just not as rewarding, and doesn't feel the same as finding the actual chest yourself, like in the first game. It's easy for me to say that there's too much content in this game, but that's not my actual critique. A game shouldn't be brimming with content at the cost of being repetitive. This is true quantity over quality, which was probably awesome in '98 and is beyond exhausting now. On top of all that, Wario just feels worse to control here, and I think the visual style is weaker. The transformations first appeared here, and while they're a good idea, they're bogged down by the fact they're slowdowns in an incredibly slow game. Getting one when you don't want one is a punishment, because you have to wait an eternity for it to leave. They should have an off button, because even in the moments when you do want one, it usually lasts way past the point of needing it, or you fuck up the one opportunity to use it when it's needed, and then since you didn't die or take damage, you have to go back and do it all again. This is a game that I think would be dramatically improved with save states, and that's never a good thing. Conquering this game was an insane grind. At first, it was intimidating and exhausting. No one held a gun to my head and forced me to do it, but I was surprised to find a second wind, and I began enjoying this game a lot more as I was finishing up the back half. After that first playthrough, I was noticing secret passages on my own way more. It's one of those games that teaches you to reevaluate how you search for secrets, and I was very impressed by that. I just wish those secret passages would more often lead to something worth discovering, because the payoffs were always weaker than the discovery itself. The easy subject for this video would be why you should play Wario Land 2, why Wario Land 2 holds up, what did Wario Land 2 get so right? But it's hard for me to say something like that if I couldn't really recommend the game. Replayability is a huge factor to me, and if a friend told me this was his favorite game of all time, I honestly would kind of be raising an eyebrow at him. I can't logically rate this game lower than a 7 out of 10, but I find myself wondering what exactly this game got right to deserve a 7 out of 10. The fact that it was released in 1998? There's a really simple truth that I'm overcomplicating here. This is practically a 30-year-old game that has experienced love, loss, lust, and ego death at the hands of old age and alcoholism, so obviously it's not going to be a perfect game. But I feel like there are other Game Boy games that hold up better. Mario Land 2 is still excellent. It's a fun, fast, zippy playthrough with great level variety, especially when compared to the NSMB games. Like, can someone explain to me how we ran out of variety by the Wii version when this game has the Mario groin level that's black ball themed? The lack of ball theming in the new Super Mario Bros. Games is truly an issue. Am I right or am I right? But even then, talking about Mario Land 2 and Mario vs. Donkey Kong in relation to Wario Land 2 feels like comparing apples to oranges. I truly didn't feel as strongly about this until I played Wario Land 3. People on Backlog seem to prefer Land 2 to Land 3, which I just feel is insane. I struggle to keep Wario Land 2 at a 7 out of 10, and that's just because I can't validate my main critique of outdated. I look at Wario Land 3 and I see a bunch of 4-step puzzles that evolve as you play the game, something that could have easily gotten out of control that was reined in just enough to be fun. A bizarre yet beautiful wedding of Wario Land 2 and Metroid, whereas Wario Land 2 is 50 levels of going left to right and entering some doors, and fighting some kind of annoying bosses. It sounds nuts, and this is a weird thing to make a video about, but Wario Land 2 challenged the way I reviewed games, which is something very near and dear to my soul. I pose a poignant question. Is outdated an outdated video game critique? Am I being ageist to Wario Land 2? I want to laugh that off and say no, but I feel so much guilt at the thought of lowering this game to that nothing white noise standard. Just as I want to be seen as a thoughtful person, Wario Land 2 is a thoughtful game. The average Game Boy Color game is like an hour long. SpongeBob SquarePants Legend of the Golden Spatula, for instance, retailed for $29.99. But when you factor inflation into that, that's $56.38. Oh, hoo-ah! That's almost $60 for a game that's over before you're done taking a shit. It's fucking crazy. Take a look at Wario Land 2 at a minimum of 5 to 7 hours, $29.99. As much as my time with this game was iffy, I can't deny that value. Unless you're taking a dump from hell, that's gonna take you at least 2 toilet sessions to finish. Honey, don't come in, I'm about to fight Captain Syrup. That sounds fucking gross. Why deny something's age? It's not Grandma's fault she's 80, she didn't spawn the cataracts herself, she can't smoke from her eyes. I can practically see the cataracts forming around this game, something that was once beautiful and impressive, totally losing impact on me in a world that's moved on. But has the world moved on, or have I moved on? Better yet, when did I stop seeing? Happiness isn't something waiting for us in the future. No one in 1998 played Wario Land 2 and said, man, that was tight, but in 10 years it'll be obsolete. To call this outdated would be me critiquing it as if it was released in 2008, and that's not fair. People work with what they have. The average gamer growing up in the late 90s would get, what, a game every 2 or 3 months? And sometimes it'd be Sponge Dick Square Knob over here that's not even an hour long. It's great that Wario Land 2 is long and consistent, like Sponge Dick Square Knob. Every trick this game has up its sleeve doesn't move me because I have infinite options, but that length and consistency, 2 things that I'm not particularly interested in, are the strongest points of this game. So I ask again, is outdated an outdated video game critique? Wario Land 2 is by no means the best Game Boy game. It's not the fastest, or the longest, or the most solid, but just as the gamers back in the day worked with what they had, so did the designers of the time. In a gaming landscape shaped by video games where you can make Sonic and Shadow breed, does gameplay stand out? Does content stand out? Or, in 20 years, will it be the memory of those things that stand out more? Not what this game objectively offers, but the memories people may have of sneaking their Game Boy into bed with them and playing it under the covers all night, looking desperately for the secret exit, feeling like a treasure hunter themselves as they discovered what they had been seeking for hours. I think in moments like those, a little video game magic happens, and video games take on a life of their own.